NASCAR. Hey disciples, welcome to Everyday Hope.
Your daily inspiration from the Word of God.
And we're still talking about hard love, but rest easy. It won't be as bad as yesterday, most likely. We're still getting the gears moving. It was a little rusty, but we got through it. It's a hard lesson. Maybe shouldn't have led with that. Maybe I should have. God put on my heart for that day, so I can only do so much. But today we're talking about intentional living, and we listen to the Christian radio stations a lot, and I really just group them in one big category in my head. But I think it's Caleb that talks especially about intentional living. No, maybe it's Family Life Radio. I think it's Family Life Radio. I feel like Dr. Randy Carson's my head, and that's Family Life, right? Anyway, they talk about intentional living a lot, and I really like just that phrase of intentional living, to take all aspects of your life and live in such a way to have intentions to have a Christ-like life, and to live each day intentionally. So first, I don't want us to even think day by day. So when you think intentional living, I don't want you to think that it's year by year, week by week, or even day by day. I want us to break it down into the moments in each day, because the only way to do this is to not overwhelm yourself. Make it as easy as possible. Whenever you find yourself bored or doing mindless or pointless tasks, or how we talked about entertainment yesterday as kind of being a time waster, ask yourself that question: am I taking this moment to live intentionally? And it doesn't have to be when you're with time wasters. It could be when you're walking into the grocery store and you see somebody in need. Well, are you just going to throw $1 at them? Are you just going to walk by? Or are you going to take that moment to live intentionally? And there's countless moments we can do it. It's even at work. It's, are we going to be lazy at our jobs because we hate our boss, or because they overwhelm us and give us way much more work than we can handle and they know it? We have all these excuses for slacking off at work and taking advantage of company time or not working our hardest. But the Bible tells us to work as if we're working for God. That's living intentionally. And so we have to make that all areas of our life. Are we sleeping in every morning? Or are we getting up early and starting our day out productive? Getting the 8 hours of sleep we need, opening our Bibles in the morning, starting with prayer, with God, having that intentional time every morning, and then getting to work. That's what we're talking about with intentional living. So I have a couple verses I want to share, and the first one is, I actually have an NIV in front of me. It's my bread and butter. NIV and King James are the two I prefer to use, but the translation I actually like for this verse the best is one of my least favorite translations, ironically, and that's the Message. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but my favorite Bibles are the ones that stick to the translation word by word or thought by thought. But to expand on that and add context that we can't know is just not something I'm particularly comfortable with. But sometimes you get a great verse out of it, and it does expand the right way, I feel so. So it says, "Find out what pleases the Lord and do it." I think it's a really short, simple verse that we can all remember. And I didn't tell you guys it was Ephesians chapter 5, verse 10. So if you want to mark that down, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 10. Ephesians is a little more than 3/4 through New Testament, maybe almost towards the end a little bit. But it's just a short, simple verse that we can just tell ourselves, are we doing what pleases the Lord? You know?
Amen.
The exact verse is, find out what pleases the Lord and do it. Can't get more of a kick in the butt than that. So it was interesting. So today I was listening to John Piper, and he does podcasts, and I have the luxury at work where we usually are plugged into headphones or listen to the radio at our desk. It's fine. And so I get to listen to things like that, and I'm really blessed for it. But nevertheless, this woman called in, and she asked John Piper, she said, you know what, I love my phone, I love being able to connect with family and stuff through social media and being able to reach out to people, but I find that I'm spending too much time on my phone, or I'm using it in ways not to outreach but to kill time out of boredom, or sometimes it takes away from time with my husband or time I could be reading my Bible and things like that. Should I switch to a flip phone? And John Piper's answer I really, really like. He goes, I'm not going to tell you what to do necessarily, but I can tell you this. If we look at what Jesus would say, and I really wish I prepared it now, but if I actually have the story. But he talks about when Jesus confronts him, he says, if your eyes cause you to sin, and he's talking about lusting after a woman by looking at her, if you find yourself staring at her, lusting after her, better to pluck out your eyes than to have your whole body burned and damned to hell. Same with your hand. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. So if your phone is causing or keeping you from God, why would that be any less important than a limb or your eyes, So he always said is, I have an iPhone. He goes, I enjoy my iPhone, but I oftentimes get caught up where I feel I even, as a pastor, use it quite a bit. So he was very careful in his wording, more careful than I would be. I would just say get rid of it. And I do get rid of my phone. But I think we should have that mindset with things, If it's causing or keeping you from God, why have it in your life? If you can't control yourself, better to lose that item than to lose your soul.
And you don't even have to go to the extreme of getting rid of the iPhone.
I'm a guy. I only do extreme.
You're one or the other. And getting a flip phone, but delete the apps of Facebook and Instagram or whatever, and download apps like they have Bible Bingo. They have just the Bible
trivia.
itself, Bible trivia. Yeah, there's so many other ways that you can handle the situation and not have to be extreme.
And you don't have to be extreme and get rid of it, but I feel like if that's what it comes down to, then do it, if it comes down to that. But there are a lot of ways to not go straight to that. For example, sometimes I find myself using my phone too often, as I think we all do, especially in our generation. And so I ask my wife to hold me accountable. I say, I want to spend time on my phone. Help me out with this. And she'll be like, all right, well, first off, delete the apps you're using too much. And I'll try to remind you when I see you on your phone if you're using your time productively on it. And so I think it starts with that, for a phone, for example, delete the apps you're being time wasters and get somebody to hold you accountable. But maybe that's not it for you. Maybe it's something else. Fireproof, if you guys have ever seen that movie. It's a great movie by the Kendrick brothers, I believe it is. Great Christian film, great entertainment. I wouldn't say it's good for kids necessarily, but good for adults. But in the movie, he has a porn addiction. I don't know if I would say addiction, it might be a little strong, but he definitely is an avid watcher of porn, and his wife finds it disrespectful, of course. And so what he does is he gets his computer, he gets mad one day at himself for being zoned in on that all the time, and his marriage is deteriorating, they're like separate lives at this point, and he yanks it out of the wall, he takes it outside and beats it with a baseball bat, because that's what men do, everything to the extreme. But at the same point in time, that computer, he was a firefighter, he had no need for a computer in the movie. I don't know a firefighter's career.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he had no need for a computer. So he was like, it's either this or my soul's going to face hell. I'm not going to have a good relationship with God because of this. So I got to get rid of it. And he got rid of it just like that. So I think that goes with having an intentional life. The next thing, and really the last thing I really want to talk, or two things I want to talk about, let me get three things. Let's just make it a nice round three. First, be intentional in your marriage. Just like your relationship with God, you need to be intentional in your marriage. You need to make sure you're spending time with your spouse, that you're thankful for what they do, and you help them where they need help or where they're lacking. And it's always about being encouraging and uplifting and being one. That unity of one. You become one flesh. It's not, what did you do today versus what I did today. It's not a contest or she's supposed to serve me. A wife does serve her husband, but men get this idea from the Bible that it's service, not there to encourage us. So always think of yourself as one. It's not about who did what. It's about what we accomplished together, what we did today. And if you look at it with that mindset, it will completely change your outlook on your marriage instead of always having a comparison going. So be intentional there, and be intentional in your lives. And I mean this in a way of what you stand for. I see a lot of Christians compromise when they're around work friends or around old buddies from high school, and go out to the bar, and they compromise their beliefs based off who they're with. When I'm at church, I'm a good Christian. When I'm at Bible study, I'm a good Christian. When I see those people from church, I'm a good Christian. I'm pretty good as a neighbor, but only pretty good. And you don't really reach out, and it so dilutes. And those friends from high school, you still go out drinking with and curse and talk about the girls from high school. I see so much compromise in those areas, and so make sure you know where you stand. It's easy to I want to say it this way. We are all sinful. We all have darkness in us. Recognize that. And if you don't have a cage or parameter set up around your darkness, then it's going to run rampant. Recognize your weaknesses and set yourself up for success by having a firm foundation, a firm wall of, this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to lust after girls. I'm not going to use bad language. And set yourself up firm in that area. Lastly, in addition to that, let's say, speaking out to neighbors. I don't see any of that. I see Mormons do an awesome job at that, and it makes me so mad because they're leading people straight to hell. Sorry to be blunt about it, but it makes me wish they weren't good at it. And it makes me wonder, why are we not door to door spreading the word of Jesus and what he's done for us? We don't do that much, let alone even talk to our neighbors. Most of us are scared to build that relationship. And I don't really the pot calling the kettle black, because though I've talked to my neighbor and made it clear I'm a Christian, even told him that we have Bible studies and services at our house sometimes, I've never really taken the time to truly give him an intimate invitation to say, would you like to ride with us to church? Are you busy next Saturday? I've never given him that formal invitation. And it's hard, I know, because my neighbor's super talkative.
You want to be friends on Facebook and watch Everyday Hope?
Our neighbor, he's very talkative, and he's kind of vulgar, not more so than the average person or anything, but I mean, it's just like he's not somebody who I could see myself having a best friendship with, and it makes it hard. And so he's not somebody like when I see him outside, it's always like, I'm going to be stuck for a 20-minute conversation. And it's easy to get caught up in that and say, well, I don't want to invite them to church because I have to drive with them, I have to sit with them the whole time, and then they're going to start coming to the door all the time. Okay, first off, it's not about you, so get over yourself. That's to you, that's to me, that's to all of us. It's about God. So don't be afraid to build that relationship and throw the invitation out there. The worst they can do is shoot you down. At least you are listening to that call of the Holy Spirit to spread His word. And that's our last point. Well, listen to the Holy Spirit in you, and it will always guide you to the intentional life.
Mm-hmm. And going back to the neighbor thing, the way I hear it phrased all the time is you're watering the seed. So even though he may deny you and not come to church, and then you ask months later or a year later, and you could invite him all these times and he's not going, but you're constantly planting that thought in his head, making him think of it, watering the seed, and eventually it will bloom and he'll go.
Hopefully. We can't say for sure, but I mean, we're here to do our part. And don't get discouraged with the no's. Like you said, you could be planting the seed, and the Holy Spirit definitely will lead you there for a reason.
Well, what I see a lot is when someone says no, then what happens is that a lot of times people tend to not bring up going to church ever again with that person because they turned them down. And you don't want to give up.
No, be annoying for God, guys. Come on. And you don't have to be annoying. I'm joking, but just be like, hey, you reconsider that invitation yet? No.
I think I would deny
Put the guns down. Holster. No, and listen to the Holy Spirit. Pray for that. Pray over your life. Prayer is so important, and so is listening to the Holy Spirit within us and letting that guide your actions, guide your words. And the Holy Spirit will guide you to what's right. Like we talked about yesterday, the Holy Spirit is never going to sit you down in front of Sex in the City and say, this is what I want you right now. So listen to God's calling in your heart. Listen to the Holy Spirit and follow that, and it'll lead you to success. Thanks for joining us for Everyday Hope, guys. Tomorrow's game day. First time. Like doing the guns today, I guess.
And it's a thing.
It's fun. Once you start doing it, you really can't stop. Just try it out. We're not cool.
Yeah, we're not.
But thanks for joining us, guys. We're going to have game day tomorrow. Excited for that. Remember, Thursday, no Everyday Hope, but Bible study, usually later on. After dinner time is when we like to do it. For us, that'll probably be around 6:30. You guys can always join in whenever you want, but no sooner. And as always, never lose hope.
You don't know what tomorrow may bring.
See you guys tomorrow. I started it.
You could just squeeze on by.
Oh, we had another verse, too.